Here's another home improvement tip from Todd and Todd.
Well, Todd, how do you know when it's time to replace your patio door?
Todd, that's a great question. We're here in Muskego today. If you want to just close the patio door, it's almost a two-person job. Okay, let's we'll open this one up. Go ahead and lock the lock. Todd, let's show what happens. On mini patio doors today, when you lock and unlock the patio door, the actual lock only moves about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. On this door, when we look at the jamb, to see what's holding that patio door in place when it's locked, there's simply one small metal bracket and 2 wood screws that generally only go in the depth of the jamb. So if somebody was to wiggle and pull on this patio door hard enough, they could actually strip those screws right out of the wood, and gaining access to the home is rather easy. Todd, how about some of the issues that we found on the inside?
Well, our homeowner told us that one of the big reasons was the door is hard to operate, both the screen door and the door itself. And this is typical of a lot of doors that are, let's say, 10 to 20 years old. They just simply stop operating properly. And this one is, you have to force it to get it to roll properly. And so this is a problem for her. The same thing with the screen door. If you don't get it exactly lined up, it sticks. And then it's hard to get it open and closed. So some irritation is really not something that can be fixed, other than you can try to adjust these things sometimes. You can get it to operate a little smoother, but our experience has been when they get to this state,
just need to be replaced.
It's pretty much, you got to take care of it. The other issues is, if you look at the top as I shake this door, you can see the weather stripping is no longer holding this door tight.
When you have an aluminum track in a patio door, very, very common, the aluminum itself condensates and can get ice on it over the years. And when that condensation, that moisture, that ice just sits there in that track through the winter months, that wood is bound and determined to soak that moisture up. We see it on the jamb side as well as the patio door sashes where the rotting is beginning. I would also point out that along the edge of the flooring here on the inside of the house, whether it's a tile floor or some sort of a laminated product or even carpeting, sometimes discoloration occurs along this edge, Todd, and that's a telltale sign that we've got moisture wicking into the subfloor and beginning to rot that. You know, oftentimes when we take these patio doors out, you see that there's some repairs that may have to be done at a later date to get the flooring in good shape again.
That's something that's hidden. You can't really see that until you get... Aluminum is not really a great product to use in our climate.
No, not at all.
Because it's so conductive that when it's really cold outside and you have a warm interior, you create a situation where you have moist air meeting a cold metal product. What do you get? You get condensation, you get ice.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
That does damage to anything beneath it.
You're absolutely right.
So we recommend that when you do replace your door, probably not a good idea to use an aluminum track anymore. It's kind of an outdated...
Absolutely, avoid an aluminum track any way you can. Well, we've just completed taking the patio door apart. How we did that, we started out by taking a tool and cutting the caulk off of the siding all the way around the perimeter of the patio door. We removed the brick molding on the outside of the house. Then we dismantled the patio door sashes and the screen, the hardware, the moving parts, and what we're left down to now is just the original jamb. Todd, what did we find when we got everything apart?
Well, Todd, just kind of what we expected to find. A lot of times when we take the sill out, we find rot underneath, and you could see how bad this really was. This is completely gone, and unfortunately this is where ants nest into this moist rotted wood. You can see on the outside what likely happened here was the caulk was separated from the door itself, and the entry point started about right here, because as you can see, the jamb itself is rotted as well as the sill, and anything below it is likely rotted as well. Unfortunately, this is a very common problem that we see with patio doors. Sometimes when the snow piles up in these areas and melts, if there's any leak point where the sealant meets the siding, where it meets the door, as it melts, the water just pools and collects in these areas, and that's what forms the rot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this completely out and put fresh lumber in here. When we reseal it, we'll make sure that there's no entry point.
The patio doors have an awful lot of weight to them, and we want to make sure that not only is the foundation here for the patio door level, we want to make sure that it's solid with brand new wood. Mark, do you want to bring the sealant in? What Mark's going to do now is run some sealant along the underside of the patio door on top of the brand new wood that we put in here. The purpose of that is to make sure that we keep any water from penetrating. So now that the sealant's done, Todd, why don't you tell us what's next?
Well, next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually install the frame of the new patio door. Mark's going to bring that in and set it down on top of the new sealant. Once he has it in place, you'll see that there's a small gap around the sides and the top of the new patio door frame. The idea of this is we want to be able to get the door in completely square. Even if the house is slightly out of square, we want to get the door in square. And then we're going to insulate this pocket before we put the finished trim on.
Wow, a patio door that's easy to operate. Is our customer ever going to love that? Additionally, the screen on the outside is really easy to operate. You can see it's almost effortless. The difference here is that instead of having rollers on the bottom and the top of the screen frame, we actually hang this screen just like the barn doors on an old barn, and it makes the patio door real easy to operate. Todd, what else are we doing?
Well, we're not quite finished. As you can see, we haven't trimmed off the exterior. So Mark's going to come back and he's going to be trimming the exterior in aluminum trim and sealing it to the door and to the siding. He's also going to go ahead and trim the bottom of the sill and then seal that to the siding so that we have an airtight and a watertight seal. And when we're done, you're going to have an absolutely beautiful installation.
You know, previously the old patio door had a security system because of the way that the lock was built. On this patio door we have what we refer to as a 3-point locking system. When the patio door latch is locked on the inside in 3 different locations, it locks to the jamb. Additionally, instead of just short screws to hold these locks in place, we have 3.5-inch screws to make sure that we go all the way into the 2x4 frame.
When that's locked, Todd, why don't you go ahead and just show that. When that latches, there's no way to break through, break this door open. You'd have to break through the glass.
Well, now that the aluminum trim is done, just look at how beautiful this patio door turned out. If you'd like additional information on patio doors, just fill out the form right here on our website.